Welcome to the PSA's annual members' meetings. These meetings are being held to elect delegates, to review the past year and look ahead to the coming year. In this short video, we'll update you on what's been happening in your union over the past 12 months, and we'll look ahead to where the PSA is heading over the next 12 months. Coming up, Democracy at Work. The PSA refocuses in a new political climate. What it could mean for you in the workplace. Working for You. The PSA launches a major campaign for strong public services. But first, the PSA Year in Review. This report from Matthew O'Driscoll.
Thanks, Nick. With new tenants in the house behind me, the PSA was wondering what the year ahead would bring. Would these be the neighbours from hell, or would we all be able to coexist peacefully? In April, it soon became clear that there'd be a rocky road ahead. The government embarked on a programme of public sector job cuts and restructuring.
200 positions are to go at the Ministry of Social Development. 80 jobs are from Child, Youth and Family. 18 of those are social workers raising awareness about child abuse. Unions representing the state sector, though, say the cuts are part of a larger picture.
When the government came in, they talked about capping the public service, but what they've done is to cut it. We're counting, and we're up to about 1,500 jobs that have been lost in the state service since the election.
In Auckland, 6,000 local government workers faced an uncertain future with a decision to merge regional councils into the one Auckland super city. In May, the government's budget signalled tighter budgets, smaller budgets and no increases at all for some public services. The effects were soon being felt by the public. Night classes got the chop. ACC announced increased levies and reduced services, with motorcyclists and sexual abuse victims being amongst the biggest losers. Public services such as libraries were threatened when it was decided local governments would focus on core services. Amid the gloom, there was some good news. The PSA won a case in the employment court that would guarantee disability support workers the minimum wage for remaining on site during night shifts. In September, the government congratulated itself on cutting more than 1,400 jobs across the public sector. In October, justice workers began what would be a long campaign for pay parity with the rest of the public service and a fair pay system.
Around 100 justice workers walked off the job and rallied outside Wellington District Court this morning, protesting over pay.
The Ministry of Justice have identified that they are a long way behind the median pay rates for what they should be paid. 1,200 of them are nearly 10% behind the rates they should be paid.
The union says they've been working to negotiate a deal since 2 collective employment agreements expired 4 months ago, but there's been no progress. 1,700 justice workers joined the strike action around the country. In Manukau, the PSA brought court and call centre workers by bus from Papakura and Ellerslie to join the picket line.
Clerical and administration staff in South Island district health boards also began a campaign to get the same pay and conditions as their counterparts in the North Island. In November, the government passed legislation to privatise prisons. ACC home support workers, already low paid, had their travel allowance cut. As 2010 began, justice workers showed they were still determined to fight by staging a noisy rally at the Supreme Court opening in Wellington.
Living. What do we want? Fair pay! When do we want it? Now!
Public services continue to erode, ACC branch offices having closed in some towns. In Otago and Southland, district health boards cut home help for the elderly. Despite the tough times, the PSA did manage to achieve some significant gains for members in justice and health. In other areas, however, it continues to be tough going. And with the budget coming out in May, with likely cuts and more restructuring, it's going to remain a difficult year for people working in public sector. PSA, Matthew O'Driscoll, back to you, Nick.
Thanks, Matthew. Standing by in our Christchurch studio is PSA National President Paula Scholes. Paula, it's been a tough year, but we've still managed to achieve some good outcomes for PSA members.
There have been some highlights, which it's always good to look back on and remember those, isn't there? There was the now Justice for You campaign for our members working in the justice system. They took some very prolonged industrial action, but that resulted in some good outcomes for them, and that was really pleasing to see. We had the court action for our disability support workers with the sleepover case, where the court came down on the side of the union and our members who were working in those areas, and that was of course appealed by the employers, but we won that appeal as well, so that was really excellent to see, and some gains for some of our very lowest paid members.
But, as Matthew reports, we have the budget coming up with the prospect of more public sector cuts, so it will remain a difficult time for our members.
Well, I think that's right, Nick. It is a difficult time, but that's exactly when it's important for people to be members of the union. And the PSA, of course, is the strongest union around in New Zealand. We have the most members, and we're a very well-resourced union, and that's what members need in times like this.
Thanks, Paula. The PSA is responding to a difficult political climate with a new approach in the workplace. Our initiative, called Sustainable Work Systems, is a chance to implement the PSA's key strategy, Democracy at Work. Workers are under increasing stress in the public sector. Government is putting pressure on government departments to do more with less. Jobs are being cut, and those who remain are having to work harder and longer to fill the gaps. The government wants the public sector to increase productivity. The PSA wants to ensure that this is done by improving workplace practices, not by cutting staff.
It's critical that we have people who are doing the work very much involved in the way decisions are made to find better ways of working. The PSA has put some real time and energy into developing our Democracy at Work agenda, which contains in it the notions of high performance workplaces and productive workplaces. And we've developed a methodology which we call Sustainable Work Systems that will deliver a real voice for our members in the decisions in workplaces around higher performing workplaces. The PSA has an important responsibility to support members and delegates who are feeling the full brunt of this change. Unless the PSA is there to protect members through these change processes, we'll be locked outside, and employers, along with their consultants, will make decisions that are detrimental to our members' interests.
As PSA members will be aware, the PSA is launching a new campaign to promote strong public services. Working for You will aim to build coalitions with community groups. We aim to build strong consensus that public services are even more vital in tough times. The campaign is about reframing the debate over public services. The government is saying it's time to make cuts in the public sector and reduce waste. The PSA says our public services are great value for money, and we need them now more than ever. A new website has been set up to get people more involved in the campaign. A flagship video highlighting the importance of the public sector in New Zealand will help launch the campaign. Visitors to the website will be encouraged to upload their video comments to YouTube. Social media tools such as Facebook will help spread the word about the value of public services. Working for You will tie in with other PSA campaigns and campaigns run by unions and other organisations.
Well, the government's policy appears to be that they will chip away at the public services. They're not mounting an all-out assault on the public service as they did the last time National was in government, but they appear to be having a policy where they're going to chip away at the public services, hoping that members of the public will be apathetic about it and won't notice that that's happening. The government repeats the same message over and over again. You will have heard it. They keep saying that the public service is bloated, the bureaucracy as they call it, and that the public service needs to be reduced. They say that the country can't afford the public service we've currently got. It's important that the PSA joins with other people who want to oppose that policy of the government that the government has of cutting our public services. We need to join with other people, other community organisations that need public services and want to speak out in support of the public services. That's why we've started this campaign, Working for You. We want to make sure that public services are high on the election agenda, and we're asking all PSA members to get behind this campaign, get involved and support your public services.
Finally, some good news on the industrial front. A landmark agreement covering 43,000 workers at district health boards has been accepted. The agreement will give more than 15,000 PSA members a 2% pay rise. It also means there will now be national processes for dealing with such issues as restructuring and dispute resolution. Richard Wagstaff, PSA National Secretary, explains the importance of the breakthrough.
This is a very significant and important settlement. It breaks the pay freeze across the state sector along with the Office we're seeing in Justice, and it also begins to address the problems for our members in the South Island clerical area. So this is very good. It shows the value of working with other unions. It shows the value of strong leadership amongst employers and unions, and this is a very significant development at this stage.
I'm Nick Hurst. This has been the PSA News.